Lissette Feliciano, thank you for joining me on CI Living TV on WCIA.
Hi, Pam. Nice to meet you. Nice to
It's
meet
nice,
all the audience members.
nice to meet you too. Thanks for joining me. I want to talk about your new film, Women Is, and can you finish it for me?
Losers, women as losers.
I have to start by asking you now, as a journalist and as a writer, that's agrammatical to me. So tell me why you chose this unique combination for your title.
So I actually did not choose it. It was the brainchild of the masterful Janis Joplin. It was her second song that she ever wrote. She only wrote 8 songs total, 8 or 9
Okay.
songs. It was the first one she ever performed live in San Francisco in 1967. And when I listened to the song, of course, I saw the title and I was a little upset because I had always considered her a feminist icon. And then I saw this title that not only did she sing, but she wrote, and it made me listen to the song, and it elicited an emotional reaction. And I listened to it, and when I heard it, I heard that she was actually making fun of the situation, and she was acknowledging a pain of being a second-class citizen as a woman, and really putting it to her audience. It's like, why is this still a thing? And that is what we were tried to infuse. That spirit, that fun, that tone is what we tried to infuse into this story, so that it didn't turn into a victimhood story or a trauma drama. So I took the title and I thought they were going to make me change it at some point, and it seems like yeah, she was up there pulling some strings because we still have it.
I understand too, in reading some of the press notes, that your mother was also an inspiration for this. Can you tell me how Janis Joplin's lyrics and song actually tie into how your mother inspired this?
Absolutely. It was a conversation. I had a conversation with my mother about the struggles that I was dealing with in the industry, and um, I had been I hadn't really told her what was going on because I didn't want to scare her, and I didn't want to, it was embarrassing, and I felt like a failure. So one year it had gotten like my life had imploded, another project had imploded, it just wasn't working. So I went home and said, okay, I am sorry, I don't think this is going to work out for us. I'm just not that good, it sounds like that's what it seems like. And she didn't she's you know she just didn't take that, and she finally told me what had happened to her in her industry, in the real estate industry, and the similarities between our stories. Me in 2021, her in the 1960s and 70s, when she was trying to become an entrepreneur, obviously different industries, but similar
Right,
problems.
right.
That connective tissue between our stories, decades apart, was what I recognized in that song. What Janice was screaming about in that song was what I was screaming about in my career. So it just all felt um, it had a really beautiful synergy, and that is why the film purposefully doesn't quite fit into any time period, because the point is that this is the 60s, this is the 70s, this is the 80s, this is the 90s, this is 2001, 20, like it's continuous.
What kind of obstacles did you face when you were trying to make this film?
So the film is very meta. Basically everything that Selena goes through in the film is what I went through behind the scenes, and I'm still dealing with behind the scenes getting this film out there. Um, I do believe that made the film stronger, because there was this camaraderie within the cast members, within the crew, within myself, even now in post production, with everybody that's working behind the scenes to get this out to the world. It is very much a bootstrap mentality of we just have to do this because we're all we have to get this out. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I can hear
Yeah.
the emotion in your voice and see it in your eyes. And
Yeah.
I was able to watch this with a friend of mine who's also female, and we both had a lovely and very emotional conversation afterwards, because things haven't changed as much as they should. Now I'm getting emotional.
Yeah, no, it's
um,
okay. And that's something, honestly, that's what I've noticed is the conversation that happens amongst family members and friends after they watch the movie. That's the most transformational part. You know, a lot has been said about what the film's shortcomings are, what they're not, and, you know, where we're trying to say too much, say too little. The point of those fourth wall breaks was never to be superior or anything like that. It was to recreate the conversation I had with my mom, to pull the unsaid truths out of the ether, all these rules that we live by, that we just live by, like women wear makeup and men don't. That's just a rule. Nobody decided that. It's not written down anywhere. But the reality is that, you know, it takes 2 hours in the morning to put on makeup. That's 2 hours less than you have to like work on yourself as a human. Those are
Right.
little tiny things that affect your life. So the conversation that you had with your friend, what we found is the transformational journey after the film is really in the families. People have come up to us after the screenings and they said, I finally had that conversation with my mom. I finally told my husband what happened to me. Like, that's happening. And that's just the greatest compliment. And I hope that, you know, I hope when the film is able to reach the country, maybe it'll have more conversations around the dinner table.
Tell me about casting your
Yeah.
actress as Selena, because you know a very a very personal story like this, you have to cast the right person, and you
Yeah.
absolutely did.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Well, Lorenzo Izzo is just a dream come true. When we met, we only really spoke about the our how we grew up. You know, she was raised in a single mother household, matriarchal household, and her journey in the industry and my journey in the industry were parallel. She was obviously in front of the camera and I was behind the camera, but just the same way we had a similar conversation about the truths of the things that we've been dealing with. And in that conversation, it was just very much obvious that this was the person to carry this, um, because she's versatile, she's funny, she's, you know, she's physical, she's brave, and she also had the core connection to the material just from her own story. Most of the time when I'm trying to cast, I believe that all actors are fantastic. I mean, if you got to this point, you're a great actor. You've been working and you're here. So for me, the extra layer um, is this something that you can relate to? I call it casting for souls, which is a little harder, but casting for souls. And every single member of this cast, their souls were the right match for this story.
How has making this film changed you personally?
That's a good question. It's hard to reflect on that because I'm still very much in it. But I what I've learned mostly is to trust my instincts. What I've learned is that I'm very strong. Um, when I started the journey, I was very naive, I would say. I was really naive about how things could work or didn't work. Um, and just being met in the sink or swim situation, it's solidified my belief in myself as a businesswoman, as a producer, as a writer, as a director, as a creator. And it's not something that that I shy away from anymore, or even downplay, because we've gotten here and this has been the journey of a lifetime. So I guess how I've changed the most is that I feel unbreakable, and I'm ready for the next round.
Awesome. I have one last question for you. What words of wisdom would you share with someone else coming up the ranks and attempting to be maybe not a filmmaker, but maybe a filmmaker or someone else in any other industry and being female?
Um, that's a big one.
It
There's
is a
so
big
many
one.
things. There's so many things. Which one do I pick? Um, you know that saying, you're stronger than you know, you're smarter than, like, that's real. That is real. It seems like as women we are socialized to believe otherwise. We are socialized to downplay ourselves, to minimize ourselves, to not speak up, because that's been the survival technique for centuries. Um, the downside of that is that when you do get presented an opportunity to do anything, um, you might not take it. Not because you're not powerful, but because it's a little bit in our programming. So what I've learned and what I would share is that you are capable and you have just as much right to take up space as anybody else, and everybody is winging it. Like what I've learned from this is nobody knows, everybody is winging it from the top level to the bottom level. Like this is a daily, in any industry, like the person, like it's crazy how much people are winging it. And I think Michelle Obama said this in her Becoming tour, right? She's like, I've been in a room with like the G9 summit, and she's like, and I cannot believe that I used to think that I was not good enough for this room. And it's that is like, when she said that, I was like, yeah, exactly. Like we're all figuring it out, we're all winging it, and you have just as much right to get in that room as anybody else.
Absolutely. Lissette, thank you for sharing all of your thoughts, and most importantly, for sharing this incredibly powerful and inspirational film. Can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you. And thank you to HBO Max for releasing us October 25th. We're very happy to be part of that family. They're incredible.